Hey, what's up, guys? It's DannyG here with a brand new version of Mother Control. It involves the yellow hybrid style of security control. Uh, Great for memory, great for aggression, and great for stalling. And let's get into it. Alright, guys, we're starting off here with obviously the queen of the deck, Mother D Reaper. Mother Shoto combo has been really picking up lately. I'm definitely on the bandwagon. I've been loving it ever since. It's been performing really well. And obviously, Mother is our 4 eggs. Let's get into the rest of the deck. Here we have our 4 Zephyrmons, guys. Zephyrmon is a hybrid. Obviously, use it to swing out. You could use it to Digivolve on a Tamer and draw. You could use it just to chip away. We run the 4-1 split with the Kazemon for that purpose. And then we have the 1 of Jet Sophie. We need Jet Sophie back at 4, guys. When Digivolving, heal 1 is perfect. Digivolving for 1 is great for memory. Jet Sophie, unfortunately, at 1 is one of our heal options. We have more heal options here. We have Magna Angemon at 2. I used to run it at 1, but I definitely just need a little extra push sometimes with having recovery. I used to run the 5-drop yellow red option that's at 1, but it just wasn't doing it for me for the early game. Whenever I needed something, it was just in my hand. It just wasn't doing much, so I swapped it out for a much needed recovery in Magna Angemon. I definitely like using this a little later in the game and using the ace earlier, just because the ace caps you out at 6. When you have 6 life, it doesn't recover anymore. It does the other half of the effect, but I definitely love my guaranteed heal later game with Magna Angemon, um, the oh, the original one. Now we have Magna Angemon Ace, as I was saying. I love this card. It's only 4 to recover 1, and it deletes something. Very versatile. The overflow nowadays just doesn't bother me. Um, yeah, pretty self-explanatory what it does. Next here we got the Etmon Ace combo. Very deadly in the meta. Very feared, very hated. Uh, what it does is for 7 you play it, or you could digivolve it. It's very good. Just when you want to keep um, the memory at least -1. You digivolve for 2, then digivolve for 4, so it's 6 costs instead of 7 if you want to use 1 less memory. Very good. Uh, so I choose one of my opponent's Digimon, -3k, and then force it to swing, which will then allow me to use one of these 2 amazing aces, or even these if I have one of these already out. And then our first level 6 ace is Valkyrmon, which needs no explanation, but I'm explaining what it does anyway. This card is very deadly because it will -5 to your opponent's side of the board for the turn only. It doesn't carry over like Shine Gray or Revelation. Um, and then once they swing into your security, you get to pop one of your opponent's Digimon with AKDP or less. Or if for some reason you do manage to take out your opponent's board uh, before they get to swing into it, which is one of the things I like to do, is just hoping that they don't get to touch my security at all. I just next turn I just go for more of an aggressive stance with the deck and just swing 1 security +1 since the security was removed, and I get to chip away a little faster, make my hybrids a little more deadly in my hand. And yeah, Valkyrie Ace, super good ace. I have a 3-3 split just because I really can't figure out which one I would favor over the other. I thought about not putting in the second Magna Angemon and putting a Serafi because it's pretty much the same effect plus a bounce. But I just felt the free ace for Digivolve was just a little better. Just surprising my opponent with the ace was a little better. So I like the 3-3 split. Hasn't come up which one I would want to put at 4. It's a good spread just for multiple different decks. Serafi Manes, amazing card. I wasn't a big believer in this card. I wasn't really running it till now. But after playing with it a few times, I've grown to love the card. Just a recover one, general recover one on player when digivolving, and then a bounce has been amazing. The bounce has just been a little more difficult to do in certain occasions, depending on where my life is, but a recover one is never bad in security control. So those are my level sixes for the deck. I have four level sevens for the deck. I had a different version of this deck before Mother, where I was running the Rush Gallantmon, play it and then just have it there, and then I would Crimson mode on top of it. I definitely like this list a lot more, but I've grown to love of Crimson Mode Ace because it will delete a total of 15 KDP on my opponent's turn, and then the aggression of when attacking to trash has been really good. Some decks make it harder for it to stick on the board, but you know, for when I've been able to do the when attacking has been perfect. An 8 drop -15 spread across the board is also really good just to count up as in like an on-board on deletion uh, you know, security effect essentially. uh, is a deadly card. I'm definitely playing it at 2 because I do want to see it, and I could ace on top of Valkyr, which if it gets destroyed, it's a very expensive cost. But if it'll buy me a turn, or if I can see a way that I wouldn't mind doing that ace, and it'll just stall my opponent out and just completely wreck their board, definitely on board with it. I play this at 2. Paladin mode, Ace best friend against 7 Great Demon Lords because I put everything in their trash to the bottom. Depending on the player, it might not be as effective, um, but it's definitely a really good card to hopefully win me that matchup, and it's just a deadly deadly card in general. Uh, I can, I can, you know, I can't definitely can't ace it on top of that, but it's a very good card just to on play 9, bottom deck everything, make them start from 0. But in certain decks, I don't mind not using it because they'll deck them out, and I see the deck out a little better than having to do this. So it's definitely one of those cards where I'm like not playing in every matchup, but when you do need it, I do want it at 2 just because I do want to see it. I don't want it in my security and have to TK it out and not recover. I also don't want to have to draw infinitely and not see it. So definitely this card is a 2-up just to be able to see it in the matchups I need to see it. Let's go into our teamer spread. Our Shoto is very obvious at 3. Some people play it at 4, but I like the memory that I get from everything else. So we have dual teamer Tai and Kari. So if I have 3 or fewer security, gain a memory. If my opponent has 3 or fewer, gain a memory. Um, Mostly do this for to quick chip to put my opponent at 3, so I gain an extra memory. And if my opponent at some point gets me also to 3 or less, you know, I gain 2 memory. And this deck definitely requires a lot of memory of use. Um, so if you just hard play everything and do one thing per turn, it's just I don't think security control could be as effective as when you can move up the scale and do 2 to 3 actions per turn. And this card really helps out with that. It also really helps me out when I'm swinging out with my Valkyr Ace. There's a lot of like Fenrir and all these decks that have really uh, big DP Digimons, Imperial as well. So this card, when it attacks the your turn effect, to tap it -2k to my opponent's security, and it stacks. Obviously, if I have multiple, is really helpful in making sure that my aces live and I don't have to go through that overflow. I have this at 3. TK, I have at 2. Um, it's a great starter card if you need a card to play on turn 1. I play it at 2 just to see it. It helps me move around and reshuffle my security and make sure I know what's in my security, and then also make sure that I don't have trash in my security, or pull out um, a hybrid just to have it in hand when I need it. Maybe pull out Jet Sophie to have it in hand when I need it because it's one of, or depending on the situation. If I'm really, really scared of 7DL or something, I'll take the hit and I won't recover with grabbing Imperial mode, but it definitely helps. Majority of the deck is yellow, so TK is really helpful. I'm definitely never taking a security out unless I have to. If it's gonna cost me the game, where I either grab the yellow option and don't heal, but at 2 it doesn't come up very often, so I'm okay with it at 2, just to avoid a lot of those situations where I pick up a card I don't want to. It's been perfect at 2. Leave it at 2. Dual Tamer TK Kari. Uh, this card's very powerful. If I have less security than my opponent, I gain 2 memory. And then during my turn, when I swing with a yellow Digimon, minus 1k to one of the Digimon for the turn. The minus 1k DP helps a lot with on deletion effects and planning out. Um, let's say if I want to play a Valkyr, or I want to play the Magna Angemon Ace or the Etmon, just like you know, planning that to delete something a little stronger for the turn. It's really good. And then the gain 2 is just a mind game with my opponent. It's like, do you want to get me a less security than you this turn? And then I gain the extra 2 memory next turn, and it also stacks. So really, really good card for that. Definitely a monster in the deck. Shoto, not much explanation needed for it. It'll gain me a memory if my opponent has a Digimon, which is why I don't want to put it a 4, because it is a conditional gain of memory, but the other ones gain me a little more memory, so I wouldn't want to mess around with the other ratios for the Tamers for that reason. The main reason for the card is to make Mother a monster blocker, a big blocker, 15k. That's the main purpose of this card. Definitely going to be running this card in a Lucemon set control list that I have coming up. Uh, Beautiful card. Definitely a staple in a lot of decks now. For our security options spread, I usually like going with 10 um, kill cards in the deck, essentially, that are gonna delete something. Um, Sometimes 12 is my magic number, but uh, especially since I'm playing more on board with the aces, and I have the comfort of the mothers, I'm not going to 12. I just like knowing that when I heal something, it's not going to be a dud, because there's no point in having a bunch of security if all of it's just going to be easy to get over Digimon or just Tamers. I need something to take control of my opponent's board. So, with that being said, I'm running 4 Wyvern's Breath. Minus 15k is going to delete almost anything. Um, Definitely, I don't see a lot of this playing Wyverns, but I definitely love Wyverns just because it's just going to take care of almost anything on my opponent's board. Next, we have our boy Lonke. Lonke, very good card since I'm not playing the purple side of security control where I don't have access to Chaos deck. Um, Lonke at some point helps me fill that ability to remove to just send to the top of security. You know, it's one of the reasons I'm more comfortable not playing the purple version of the deck, which would regardless play Lonke, but I don't mind not having access to Chaos deck. It's either a minus 12, a place on top of security, or both. There have been actually a lot of times where I do hit it when I'm at it's my 4th security, and then I'm at 3, and then, activate both effects. Very tilting for my opponent, but this card is very nasty, and I love it. Heaven's Judgment. What can I say about the card? For each color that I have an extra minus 6k DP. For a lot of people that don't know, um, it activates it once, minus 6k, and then let's say I have one of these aces out, it's gonna activate it another 2 times for the same Digimon. 7 costs. It's a really good cost spread for deletion. I only played at 2 because it's only a minus 12 in security, but it helps me round out my option spread over here for like the major kill cards. So that's why I'm playing it at 2. I think it's like the most, it's probably the best kill spell that can happen in security after Wyverns and Lonke, so that's why I'm playing it at 2. At 3, I'm playing and the final card of the deck, Revelation of Light. Uh, I count it as a recovery because if I have a Kari on board, it'll allow me to place it on top of my security stack. I could play out a Digimon from the stack. Maybe I want to go for game, but I tend not to want to play it because it is a you may. So I most of the times if I'm falling behind with life, I refuse to play a Digimon. And then if I know if my opponent could delete it anyways, I rather just not place it on board. The best part about this card is for the Imperial matchup, where it'll minus 5k to the board. So it helps take care of the partition that my opponent could have. So it's really, really good for that. It's definitely helped a lot with the Imperial matchup. I played at 3, not at 4. I don't want it to clunk, but I count it as a recovery, which is really good, and it's only 4. So I am able to play that and then do something else for the turn, especially with all the memory that that gives you. And alright guys, that is my version of Mother Control. Stay tuned for more videos. Please like and subscribe, and remember guys, stay topping.